Money, Master the Game, by Tony Robbins. Introduction. I want to tell you a story. It's Thanksgiving Day, many years ago. A young boy, just 11 years old, is inside his small home. There's no food on the table. There's no turkey, no stuffing, no pumpkin pie. Instead, the air is thick with tension. His parents are fighting, their angry words echoing the emptiness in the cupboards. The boy knows there will be no Thanksgiving feast for his family this year. Then, a knock at the door. He's afraid to answer. It could be a bill collector. His family has no money to pay. But the knock comes again, gentle but firm. He peeks through a crack in the door and sees a tall stranger standing on the porch, holding two enormous grocery bags. The man says nothing, just smiles, sets down the bags filled with a turkey and all the trimmings for a Thanksgiving dinner, and walks away. The boy was stunned. His father had always told him, nobody gives a damn about anybody. But in that moment, a stranger, asking for nothing in return, had shown up and cared. It was a simple act of kindness, but for that young boy, it was a lightning bolt. It planted a seed in his heart, the idea that if strangers could care about him, then he could care about them. He made a promise to himself that day. Someday, somehow, he would find a way to do the same for others. That young boy grew up to become Tony Robbins. He became one of the most recognized figures in the world, an advisor to presidents, athletes, and billionaire entrepreneurs. But he never forgot that feeling of having nothing. He never forgot the power of that one stranger's gift. And years later, after the 2008 financial crisis wiped out the savings of millions of families, he saw that same fear and scarcity everywhere. He knew he had to do something. So he embarked on a 4-year quest. He sat down with 50 of the most brilliant financial minds on the planet, legends like Warren Buffett, Ray Dalio, and Carl Icahn, and he asked them a simple question. In a game that seems rigged against the average person, how do you win? He took their secrets, their life's work, and he distilled them into a simple, 7-step blueprint. The result is this book, Money, Master the Game. And this isn't just a book about getting rich. It's a roadmap out of the financial jungle and into a life of freedom. By the end of our time together today, you'll have that map in your hands. You'll understand the hidden traps and clever lies the financial world uses to keep you poor, and more importantly, you'll learn the simple truths that can set you and your family free. Book summary. So, let's begin our journey. Imagine the world of money as a dense, treacherous jungle. It's filled with confusing paths, hidden traps, and predators who are very, very good at what they do. Most of us are dropped into this jungle with no map and no guide. We wander around, hoping to find our way, but more often than not, we end up lost, frustrated, or worse, becoming someone else's lunch. In this jungle, you are either the hunter or the hunted. You are either the chess player, or you are the chess piece. Tony Robbins' entire mission in this book is to hand you the map and turn you from the chess piece into the chess player. He starts by asking a fundamental question. What is money, really? It's not the paper in your wallet or the numbers on a screen. At its core, money is about power. It can fund a dream or start a war. It can be a gift of love or a weapon of control. But what we're all truly after isn't the money itself. It's the feelings we think money will give us. The feeling of freedom. The feeling of security. The feeling of choice. The feeling of being able to care for the people we love. The problem is, most of us have the game backward. We think that if we just work harder and earn more money, we'll eventually find that freedom. But Tony shares countless stories that prove this is a dangerous illusion. He talks about the boxer Mike Tyson, who earned nearly $500 million and went bankrupt. He talks about the actress Kim Basinger, who earned millions per movie, bought an entire town, and still ended up bankrupt. These stories teach us a crucial lesson, perhaps the most important one of all. It is not what you earn that makes you wealthy. It is what you keep. And not just what you keep, but what you do with what you keep. You have to make a shift. A fundamental shift from being a consumer in the economy to being an owner. You do that by becoming an investor. This brings us to the very first step on our path to freedom, and it's the most important financial decision you'll ever make. It has nothing to do with picking the right stock or a hot new investment. The decision is this: what percentage of the money you earn will you decide to keep for yourself and your family, forever? What portion of your income will you pay yourself first, before you pay your bills, before you buy groceries, before you spend a single dollar on anything else? This isn't just savings. Tony calls it your freedom fund. It's the money that will power your money machine, a system that, once you build it, will work for you 24 hours a day, making money while you sleep, until one day, you never have to work again. How does this machine work? It runs on the most powerful force in the financial universe, a force so powerful that Albert Einstein supposedly called it the eighth wonder of the world: compound interest. To show you its power, Tony tells a simple story of two twin brothers, William and James. William starts investing $4,000 every year from the age of 20. He does this for 20 years and then stops at age 40, never investing another penny. He just lets his money grow. His brother, James, waits. He doesn't start investing until he's 40, the exact age his brother stopped. James invests the same $4,000 a year, but he does it for 25 years, all the way until he's 65. So, who has more money at retirement? William, who invested for only 20 years, or James, who invested for 25? It's not even close. William, the early starter, ends up with nearly $2.5 million. James, the late bloomer, has less than $400,000. That's a difference of over $2 million, all because William gave his money more time to work its magic. He harnessed the incredible, almost unbelievable power of compounding. Now, you might be thinking, that's great, but I can't afford to save. I'm stretched too thin as it is. This is the story most of us tell ourselves. And it's a trap. Tony introduces the work of a behavioral economist named Shlomo Bernardzi, who came up with a brilliant, painless solution called Save More Tomorrow. The idea is simple. You don't have to save more money today. Instead, you make a commitment to automatically save a small percentage of your next pay raise. When you get a 3% raise, maybe you decide that 1% of that will automatically go into your freedom fund. You won't even feel it, because you never had that money in your hands to begin with. Your lifestyle still improves with the other 2%, but your future is getting richer automatically. It's a genius way to trick our brains into doing the right thing. So, the first step is to decide on a percentage, no matter how small, and automate it. Make it non-negotiable. This is the fuel for your journey. But once you have that fuel, where do you go? This is where we enter the jungle. This brings us to step 2. Become the insider. You have to know the rules of the game before you play, or you will get played. Tony spent years uncovering the hidden truths of the financial industry, and he boils them down into 9 fundamental myths, or, as he sometimes calls them, the $13 trillion lie. The biggest lie of all? It's the one whispered by slick salesmen in expensive suits: invest with us. We'll beat the market. They sell you on something called an actively managed mutual fund. The idea is you're hiring a brilliant financial wizard who will pick the best stocks and get you incredible returns. It sounds great. The only problem is, it's a fantasy. Tony reveals the shocking statistic: an incredible 96% of all mutual funds fail to beat the market over any sustained period of time. Let that sink in. You have a 4% chance of picking a winner, which is worse odds than hitting on 20 in a game of blackjack. Jack Bogle, the legendary founder of Vanguard, has a funny way of putting it. He says if you put 1,024 gorillas in a room and have them all flip coins, one of them is bound to flip heads 10 times in a row. In any other field, you'd call that luck. In the fund business, they call him a genius and put his face on the cover of a magazine. So if these experts can't beat the market, what chance do we have? The answer, Tony says, is simple. Don't try to beat the market. Become the market. You do this by investing in a low-cost index fund. An index fund is like a basket that holds a little piece of all the top companies, like the S&P 500, which holds the 500 largest companies in America. By owning one, you're not betting on a single company, you're betting on the entire American economy. And as legends like Warren Buffett will tell you, that has been the best long-term bet in history. But the lies don't stop there. The next big myth is, are fees? They're just a small price to pay. This, Tony says, is where they really get you. The average mutual fund might tell you they charge a 1% fee. It sounds tiny. It sounds harmless. But what they don't tell you about are all the hidden costs, trading costs, administrative fees, marketing fees. When you add it all up, the average mutual fund actually costs you over 3% per year. Still sounds small? Let's go back to our story of the three friends, Jason, Matthew, and Taylor. They all invest $100,000 and earn the same 7% return for 30 years. The only difference is their fees. Jason pays 3%, Matthew pays 2%, and Taylor pays just 1%. At retirement, Jason has $324,000. Matthew has $432,000. But Taylor, who paid just 1% in fees, has $574,000. She has nearly twice as much money as Jason, simply because she avoided those small fees. Over a lifetime, those fees don't just take a piece of your money, they steal your future. They are the single greatest enemy of compound interest. This leads us to another trap, the myth of the broker. The friendly face who tells you, "I'm here to help." The problem is, most brokers are not legally required to act in your best interest. They operate under something called a suitability standard, which means they only have to sell you a product that is suitable for you, not what is best for you. It's often the product that pays them the highest commission. Tony uses a great analogy. A broker is like a butcher. If you ask a butcher what's for dinner, the answer is always meat. He's not going to tell you about the fresh fish down the street. What you need is a fiduciary. A fiduciary is like a dietitian. They are legally bound to act in your best interest. They don't get paid commissions to sell you products, they get paid for their advice. Finding a true fiduciary, Tony argues, is one of the most important moves you can make to protect yourself. The myths go on and on: the illusion of target date funds, the dangers of typical 401k plans loaded with hidden fees, the lies we tell ourselves about why we can't succeed. But by understanding these rules, you've already taken a giant leap out of the jungle. You're no longer playing blind. Now that you know the traps to avoid, it's time for step 3. Make the game winnable. This is where we have to get clear on our target. What is the price of your dreams? Most people either have no idea, or they pick a number so huge it feels impossible, so they never even start. Tony tells a great story about a young man at one of his seminars who, when asked his number, proudly declared, $1 billion. $1 billion. It sounds impressive. But Tony started asking him questions. What would you do with $1 billion? I'd have my own private jet, the young man said. Okay, how much does that cost? Well, a Gulfstream jet is about $65 million, plus millions a year to maintain. But what if you just chartered a jet whenever you wanted to fly? That would cost maybe $250,000 a year. What else? Tony asked. I'd buy a private island. Okay, you could spend $40 million building one. Or you could rent Richard Branson's private island for a week for about $350,000 and have a staff of 50 people wait on you. They went through his entire list of billion-dollar dreams. And when they calculated the real cost of the lifestyle he wanted, the grand total wasn't $1 billion. It wasn't even $100 million. It was $10 million. Now, $10 million is still a lot of money, but it's a target you can actually aim for. $1 billion is a fantasy. $10 million is a plan. To make the game even more winnable, Tony breaks down financial freedom into 5 levels. The first, and most important, is financial security. This is the point where the income from your investments pays for your most basic needs for the rest of your life, without you ever having to work again. We're talking about your mortgage or rent, your utilities, your food, your transportation, and your basic insurance. Think about that for a moment. What would your life feel like if you knew, no matter what happened, you would always have a roof over your head and food on the table? For most people, that alone is freedom. And the beautiful part is, when you actually sit down and calculate this number, it's almost always far, far lower than you imagine. For many people, achieving this first level of security is completely within reach. From there, you can climb to financial vitality, financial independence, and beyond. But it all starts with having a clear, achievable target. Once you have your target, you need a plan to hit it. This leads us to step 4. Make the most important investment decision of your life: asset allocation. You've heard the old saying, "Don't put all your eggs in one basket." That is the essence of asset allocation. It's how you decide to divide your money among different types of investments, like stocks, bonds, and real estate. This single decision, more than any other, will determine whether you stay wealthy. Tony simplifies this by creating 3 main buckets for your money. The first is your security bucket. This is for the money you absolutely cannot afford to lose. It's for safe, conservative investments that give you peace of mind. Think of things like bonds or guaranteed contracts. The returns won't be spectacular, but that's not the point. The point is, this money will always be there. The second is your risk/growth bucket. This is where you have the opportunity for much higher returns. This is your engine for wealth. It includes things like stocks, real estate, and other investments that have more volatility but also more potential for growth. But you have to be prepared to lose some of this money along the way. The third, and perhaps the most fun, is your dream bucket. This is a small portion of your money that you set aside to enjoy life now. Not someday in the future. It's for that vacation you've always wanted, that special gift for someone you love, or that experience that will light you up. This bucket is crucial because it gives you the emotional juice to stick with the plan. It reminds you why you're doing all this hard work. The key is to decide on a percentage for each bucket based on your age, your goals, and your personal tolerance for risk. A younger person might put more in the growth bucket, while someone nearing retirement will want more in the security bucket. But here's where Tony delivers something truly extraordinary. He asked one of the greatest investors of our time, Ray Dalio, the founder of the world's largest hedge fund, a simple question: if you couldn't pass on your money to your children, but only a single portfolio that would work in any economic environment, what would it be? This leads us to step 5. Create a lifetime income plan with an all-seasons portfolio. Ray Dalio explained that there are really only 4 seasons that affect our investments. 1. Economic growth is rising, 2. Economic growth is falling, 3. Inflation is rising, and 4. Inflation is falling. Most portfolios are designed to do well in only 1 or 2 of these seasons. But Ray created a simple, elegant allocation that is designed to make money no matter what the economic weather is. It's a specific blend of stocks, long-term bonds, intermediate-term bonds, gold, and commodities. When Tony's team back-tested this strategy over the last 75 years, the results were mind-blowing. This portfolio made money 85% of the time. During the 2008 crash, when the market lost over 37%, this portfolio lost less than 4%. It offers the steady, reliable growth that allows you to sleep at night. But Dalio's portfolio is only half of the secret to a worry-free retirement. The other half is creating what Tony calls income insurance, a guaranteed paycheck that you can never outlive. How do you do that? He reveals a powerful tool that the ultra-wealthy have used for years, but has recently become available to everyone. It's a specific type of contract, often called a hybrid or fixed-indexed annuity. In simple terms, it's a deal you make with a highly rated insurance company. You give them a portion of your money, and in return, they give you a promise. That promise has a few parts. First, your principal is 100% protected. You can never lose your initial investment. Second, your money grows linked to a market index, like the S&P 500. When the market goes up, you get to participate in the gains. But here's the magic: when the market goes down, you lose nothing. Zero. You get the upside of the market, with none of the downside. And the final part of the promise? At any point you choose, you can turn this account into a private pension, a guaranteed stream of income that will continue for the rest of your life, no matter how long you live. It is the ultimate antidote to the #1 fear of retirees: outliving their money. With these tools in hand, you've now got a plan for every season of your life. This brings us to step 6. Invest like the 0.001% by learning from the billionaires' playbook. In this section, Tony shares the distilled wisdom from his interviews with the masters. While they all have different styles, he found they share a few core obsessions. First, they are all obsessed with not losing money. As Paul Tudor Jones, a trader who has gone 28 consecutive years without a losing year, told him, defense is 10 times more important than offense. Second, they all look for what's called asymmetric risk/reward. This is a fancy way of saying they look for opportunities to risk a little to make a lot. Paul Tudor Jones has a simple rule: he won't make an investment unless he believes he can make $5 for every $1 he risks. This allows him to be wrong 4 out of 5 times and still not lose money. Third, they anticipate and diversify. They know they can't predict the future, so they prepare for everything. And finally, they are never done. They are lifelong learners who are constantly growing, and more importantly, constantly giving back. This leads us to the final step, step 7. Just do it, enjoy it, and share it. After all this planning and strategy, what is the final secret to a truly wealthy life? We've learned how to build a fortune, but how do we build a life? Tony says we are constantly making 3 decisions that shape our destiny. First, what are you going to focus on? Do you focus on what you have, or what's missing? Do you focus on what you can control, or what you can't? Second, what does it mean? When a challenge comes your way, is it the end, or is it a new beginning? Is it a punishment, or is it a gift? And third, what are you going to do? Your actions are shaped by your focus and the meaning you create. The way to master these decisions, to live in a state of joy and gratitude, is to get outside of yourself. The science is clear. Money can buy happiness, but only when you spend it on others. Giving away even a small amount of money has been proven to create a deeper and longer-lasting happiness than buying something for yourself. The secret to living is giving. This brings us full circle, back to that Thanksgiving Day when a young Tony Robbins received a gift from a stranger. That act of giving changed his life, not because of the food, but because of the meaning he gave it. He chose to believe that people care, and that he could be a force for good. That belief has driven him to feed over 42 million people through his foundation. He ends the book with his own powerful story of hitting rock bottom. He was broke, overweight, and living in a tiny apartment, blaming the world for his problems. He had only a few dollars left to his name. He went to a restaurant for an all-you-can-eat buffet, his last meal for who knew how long. As he was eating, he saw a young boy, immaculately dressed, treating his mother with such love and respect. He was so moved by this small act of kindness. On an impulse, he walked over to the boy, told him what a fine gentleman he was, and gave him all the money he had left in his pocket. He walked out of that restaurant with nothing. But he felt completely free. He was no longer a victim of scarcity. The anger, the frustration, the fear, it was all gone. The next day, a check arrived in the mail from a friend, paying back an old loan with interest, more than enough to get him back on his feet. Was it a miracle? A coincidence? Tony chose to believe it was a reward for giving from the heart. That was the moment he says he truly became a wealthy man. Because wealth is not a number in a bank account. It is a state of mind. It is a spirit of abundance. And it is found not in what we get, but in what we give. Commentary. So, what do we take away from this incredible journey through money? Master the game? For me, the most powerful lesson is one of empowerment. The financial world can feel like this massive, intimidating fortress, and we're just peasants standing outside the walls. Tony Robbins doesn't just show you a secret way in. He hands you the blueprints to the entire castle and tells you that you have the power to become its master. He demystifies the language, exposes the traps, and simplifies the strategies. He takes concepts that are usually wrapped in layers of jargon and complexity, like asset allocation and derivatives, and he makes them accessible. He makes them actionable. The story of the All Seasons portfolio from Ray Dalio alone is a game-changer. It's a strategy born from one of the most brilliant financial minds of our time, and it's laid out so clearly that anyone can understand it, and anyone can implement it. That is the genius of this book. It democratizes the tools of the ultra-wealthy. But beyond the practical strategies, the deeper message is a psychological one. It's about shifting your identity. You are not just a consumer. You are not just a wage earner. You are an owner. You are an investor. That shift in mindset is the foundation upon which all financial freedom is built. And finally, the book reminds us that the journey to wealth is meaningless if we lose ourselves along the way. The constant emphasis on gratitude, on contribution, on living a life of passion and purpose, that is what elevates this from a simple financial guide to a true philosophy for an extraordinary life. It's not just about building a money machine, it's about building a life that is rich in every sense of the word. So, if you're looking for a few simple actions you can take, right now, to start this journey, here are 3. First, make the decision. Tonight, before you go to sleep, decide on a percentage of your income, even if it's just 1% that you will set aside for your freedom fund. Then, go to your bank's website and set up an automatic transfer. Automate your future. That one action, more than any other, will change your financial destiny. Second, become an investigator of your own finances. The next time you get a financial statement for a mutual fund or a 401k, look for the fees. Use one of the free online tools Tony mentions to find out what you're really paying. Knowledge is the first step to keeping more of your own money. And third, practice the final secret. Find one small way to give today. Buy a coffee for the person behind you in line. Donate a few dollars to a cause you believe in. Or just give your time and full attention to someone you love. Feel the shift inside you. Because true wealth starts not in the bank account, but in the heart. That was a summary of Money, Master the Game by Tony Robbins. We've explored the core ideas today, But I have to be honest with you, a summary can only scratch the surface. The real power of this book is in the details, the specific stories, the in-depth interviews, the way a certain phrase or idea can spark something inside you. This isn't just a collection of financial tips, it's a comprehensive system. If anything we've talked about today has resonated with you, I truly encourage you to pick up a copy. Reading it isn't just learning, it's an experience that can fundamentally change your relationship with money and, in turn, your life. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable, please click that like button and subscribe to our channel. It tells us we're on the right track and ensures you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book. Let's keep growing together.